Nearly 9 hours since a Canton toddler went missing from her home, and that search continues for the little girl at this hour. It's Thursday evening. I'm Tyler Lopez.
And I'm Janice Rebholz. 2-year-old Chloe Russell was last seen in her home. Sam Matheny is live in Canton with what we're learning tonight. Sam.
Tyler, Janice, we're entering the 11th hour that 2-year-old Chloe Russell went missing. I'm here standing at the corner of Custer and 5th Avenue in Canton. Behind me, police still have the intersection here at Custer and 5th blocked off as they're trying to search for Chloe Russell. Police say her mother called this morning to report her missing, saying she saw Chloe around 6:30 a.m. She was last seen wearing blue and white pajamas. Local and state police officers are here searching for her, and just a couple minutes ago, crime scene investigators arrived on scene. State troopers have periodically flown an airplane overhead to try and find Chloe. Drones have also been used, and Farmington police brought in a K-9 earlier today. Canton police addressed residents on Facebook who are speculating about Chloe's disappearance by saying, quote, "This is not the time to point fingers."
Something like this, to this extent, it's actually, not very often, because a lot of times it generally ends up being one of those things where the kids, maybe in the house somewhere, in a place that normally the child wouldn't be.
For now, Canton police are asking people to stay out of the intersection behind me that they have blocked off. They say that while they are searching for Chloe, any type of movement could throw off their search efforts. We're going to keep you guys updated when we know more. Reporting now live in Canton, Sam Matheny, 25 News.